Welcome to the 1000 Comics Podcast. It's your host, Matt Heath. I got a great episode for you guys today. I'm literally recording this monologue with the guest still here. Say what's up.
Hey, what's up?
That's all you get to say during the monologue.
Cool.
I just want to let you guys know the we don't really have an ending for this episode. Because we talk about some stuff we're not supposed to talk about towards the end. And that's all you guys get to know. Brian, you did plug your social media in there at the end, which we can do. So you want to just plug your social media real quick?
Yeah, Instagram, Keg Stand Comedy. Keg, like keg of beer, stand comedy, because I do a beer comedy podcast, also called Keg Stand. If you want to get me on Facebook, Brian with an I. Theriot, spelled The Riot. On Facebook is usually where I'll announce shows and stuff like that. Also, I'll do it on Instagram. And yeah, that's about it.
All right. So you get the ending in the beginning. How do you feel about that? This is a good episode, so just stay tuned because we do talk about some fucking deep shit in movies you probably never heard of. Which is cool. And let me just get a quick little ad read in there. You've probably heard a lot about cannabidol or CBD, but have you heard about the plant science company taking lead in providing the highest quality CBD nationwide? At your CBD store, Simsbury, you will find a fantastic staff that creates a comfortable environment where you can get the questions answered and find the right products and get the relief you need. They will be your number one source of providing quality education about products for you and your pet. They offer a full line of edibles, creams, USDA certified oils, and more, all developed under the guidance of their PhD analytical chemists and health leaders across the industry. And to back up their story, they also provide extensive third-party testing to ensure that what's listed on the products is actually what's in the products. I'm having a tough time doing this ad read because I had a few beers. I'm sorry. They are located at 1243 Hot Meadow Street in Simsbury. And that's Simsbury, Connecticut. I know we're recording here in New York right now, but this is for my Connecticut people. I mean, you can order stuff from New York, I'm sure. And open 7 days a week. Give them a call at 860-217-1433. Visit their website at ycbdsimsbury.com or stop in for free samples and the highest quality products you can find. Your CBD store, Simsbury, where good health hits home. And, hey, if you want to sponsor the 1000 Comics Podcast yourself, just send some money over to the Venmo at Thank You Masked Man. Why not? Just send me some money over Venmo, and I'll give you a shout-out in one of these monologues. Fuck it. That's how we're doing it now. This is how podcasting works now.
Just pay us, please.
Just give us money. All right. And enjoy this interview. Alright, I just hit record. I'm sitting here with Brian Theriot.
Hey, what's up? It's Theriot.
I said it right.
Yes. No, you did. I know, but people. Okay, but people just call me Theriot sometimes, so I'm saying I'm Theriot.
Brian the Riot. Well, that would be a cool stage name if you were a wrestler, though.
Well, you know what's funny? So my name is Theriot, but it's French, so it's spelled The Riot, Theriot. In case you need to follow me. And a lot of times at clubs, especially in New York, they'll write your name in all caps.
Right.
And I was walking by Stamp, New York with, it was Artie Fuqua. Right. He hosts a lot of Comedy Cellar. And he's like, Brian, he's like super high energy. He's like, Brian, you're great, but you need to drop a stage name. You're not like that kind of comic. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, The Riot. Why do you have that as your stage name? And I was like, that's how you spell Theriot. You're seeing it in all caps, and you're automatically looking at it as The Riot, but it's just, that's how you spell it. That's not a stage name. It's constantly been a thing. Like hacky road hosts will insist on bringing me up as the Riot.
The other issue you have is that it's a French name, correct?
Yes.
And it's hard to pronounce. And you have like this thing where people are constantly comparing you to Zach Galifianakis, and it's like that's also a thing he has, that his name is hard to pronounce.
I never thought about that, but yes.
You never thought it?
Yeah.
And it's also French, right? Isn't it also a French name?
I don't think
Galifianakis?
That's not
No.
French. No, I think maybe that's Polish.
Yeah. But this interview isn't about Zach Galifianakis.
No, this is about Brian the Riot Theriot.
There's so much to talk about. I literally just met you, dude. But like, I feel like I feel like I'm vibing with you immediately because let me just tell you a little bit about my day, and it's that this is really my first real day in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday I was here. I hit up the cellar and everything, but today I'm like, I gotta hit the streets, find a mic, perform, and for some reason I didn't get around to it till the end of the day. And was like, I procrastinated all day, and I was like, I'll just hit this mic where it used to be the East Village Comedy Club. Now there's some kind of poetry club there, but there's still an open mic listed on the Bad Slava page. So I go over there, and the place is fucking closed down, and I'm like, why is it closed down? It's like they're running a Zoom show, and that's what they're advertising on Bad Slava, is their Zoom mic they're doing.
Yeah, we were talking about this. I hate everything Zoom.
Yeah.
Like, I have done 0 Zoom shows,
Mm-hmm.
0 Zoom podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
I do my own beer and comedy podcast, and everyone's like, you should do Zoom. I'm like, well, first of all, we all have to drink the beer.
I'll be honest, I did a few of these over Zoom when we were completely shut down, like pandemic. But I hit up Aaron Kaplan, who I've been friends with for years. I'm like, where's the comedy at? He's like, well, I'm at the stand right now. And I look up on my phone. Oh, it's only a 20-minute walk from where I was at.
Mm-hmm.
Walk over to the stand. You're sitting with Aaron. Who was the other guy you guys were talking to there?
I don't know his name.
Oh, all right, because he was giving us some good comedy info too.
Again, we talked. I am terrible at names.
Yeah.
Also, I've been drinking all afternoon. Yeah, like I've seen him before. Like I probably remember his name, but like
it's all right. And then Beecher comes walking up too, and you pull out your 360 camera, whatever. I'm like, I don't know. I just like kind of like impressed with your persona. You know, like it's like
you like the cut of my gig. Jig. Cut of my jig.
I think it's jib.
Jib.
Cut.
Yeah, because boats. Yes. Cut of my jib. Yeah.
You're cutting your jib.
I knew it was something like that. Yeah. So I have this 360 camera, which is like you basically take a photo and then you can like move around it in space.
Right.
And I've been all into that lately. All my headline on my Facebook is always what a daily 360 photo.
You know, I looked at your cover photo, and you could barely see me in the photo. And it's a 360 photo.
Yes. Oh, yeah, because you have to turn around and see it. How, like, we can look at it later, but are you, like, in the background or something? Or are you just
I'm just behind you. Like, you're standing in front of me. So it's like, even though it's 360, you can't see behind you.
Okay, I'm not exactly a tower, but, like,
Yeah, I'm angry about this. I just want you. All right,
we could take another one. We could do another one, buddy.
Let's.
We can do more.
Let's scrap this whole thing right now. No, all right. So you do your own podcast. It's a beer podcast. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a beer podcast. And it's on site at breweries. So, or beer events, but largely
what's it called? So
it's called Keg Stand.
And what's it on?
It's on. It's on iTunes, which is iTunes still a thing?
I think so.
Yeah, Spotify. It's on all the different channels where you can get it.
Is it on YouTube?
We have
my podcast is exclusively on YouTube.
We're exclusively on YouTube.
Is that a bad thing?
I don't know. Like, there's no video, is there?
No. But there's an image. I'm going to draw a cartoon of you.
Okay. Also, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Because we could actually do a 360 video of the podcast while it's happening and put it on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I would find that disorienting.
Oh, yeah, okay. It basically like someone was standing right here and they could look back and forth at us. They'd be like they're in that chair, put it right here. But so the podcast Kickstand, it's something, and basically I go to breweries with a comic, and we talk to the brewer. We talk about the brewing, their culture, their style, their methods,
Right.
the history of the brewery. Some of these brewers have, and brewery owners have amazing stories of how they got into brewing.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, some of them, you know, were lawyers or, you know, whole different stories. And it's really interesting how that came about because before you can have a brewery, you have to learn how to brew beer.
Mm-hmm.
So most of them started home brewing. Some of them also started working with other breweries as a brewing assistant and came up to like starting their own places. Some of them, you know, are literally, they started their brewery out of a garage.
Right. Like the Drew Carey show.
Yes, exactly like that. And it's something where I found out early, I figured out early on that the audience for craft beer is the same audience as for comedy. There's like almost 100% overlap. And I like drinking beer. It's fun.
Yeah.
And it's fun to bring all these aspects together. And we go there, we cut a podcast. It's basically a beer podcast, as in we talk to the brewer and stuff like that. But it's also a comedy podcast where we kind of segue back to the comic and talk about comedy stuff.
Okay.
And kind of riff back and forth.
So
and
it's a good dynamic because
yeah.
you got a different comic every episode, but you got a different brewer every episode. Okay.
And sometimes, you know, a brewer or a brewery owner, they may be a little stiff on the microphone. You know, they'll talk about the methods, but be a little bit, you know, rigid.
Right.
And it helps a lot to have a comic there, and comics who can, like, kind of take some of the banter lift.
Yeah.
So you can learn about beer. Because one thing with beer podcasts is you would keep running into these things where they would hit a brewer who wasn't, you know, their methods are amazing, but they weren't that great on.
I like the
mic.
premise though, because like you'll listen to it and you feel like you're drinking at a bar with a comic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, which is like, in a sense, what you kind of like give them a taste of our lifestyle as comics.
Yep. And by the time at the end, everyone's a little bit drunk.
Right.
It's a party.
Yeah.
There have been a couple episodes where I'm slurring a bit at the end.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun, and it's been a while because it's such a format where we do it at the breweries. There really wasn't a way to go do it during COVID.
Right.
That just wasn't possible. Breweries who were active had like their brewing staff isolated from everybody.
Right.
Because if they got sick, they can't make beer.
Okay.
And before that, my co-host Jessica, her mom got very sick and passed away. So there's been a long gap in episodes. So what we're doing,
how many episodes though you have in total?
about 20.
20, and you've been doing it since what year?
Since 2016.
Oh, okay.
There's some early episodes I took down because the sound quality wasn't great.
Yeah.
And it's always been something where it's a complicated podcast to put together.
Right.
So it's always something that has kind of been done sporadically. Just because it's complicated to put together. It's something, you know, if you go out there and get hammered once a week doing a podcast, that becomes a problem. So it's been a sporadic thing. It's like a treat.
Yeah.
Got some good fan base from it either way, anyways.
Yeah.
But it's been a while since we had an episode because of just life. So we're looking at doing some more episodes, probably in the next few months. I have some lost episodes that I found on a SD card. So those will come out in a couple of weeks. I'm gonna finish editing
sweet.
them. So we'll have some episodes, somewhat with the Urban South in New Orleans, with Alewife. I did a third episode with Abita.
Well, let me tell you, sir, if you're going to do any breweries up in Connecticut, I hope I'm the first guy you call.
Absolutely.
All right.
I have a car now, which I can do that now.
Which you've been bragging about all night. You got this car, and it's a minivan?
Yeah, I got a minivan.
What kind of minivan?
It's a Dodge 2019 Dodge Caravan GT.
All right.
And it's been quite a little journey picking a car. I was working during COVID. I work as a beer rep during the week, and I was like, I can't take the train every day. Right. I just can't be in a train full of people in the middle of COVID, going out and selling beer. It just can't be a thing. Because I sell beer to bars during COVID. I actually sold to because all the bars closed. I was selling beer to grocery stores,
Mhm.
which, so I was like, okay, so I kind of was like, what do I want a car to be? I want to have a third row seats for taking comics places. I love cycling, so I want to be able to take bikes places.
Right.
And, the 3-row SUVs I was looking at, the back row was super...
So are you really a cycling like enthusiast?
Yes.
You know, some I just want to interject with this real quick because I don't know if I'll have another chance to tell this story. The principal of the high school I used to teach at found out I was a comic, and for some reason he like had to tell me about the bike that's on Seinfeld's wall. You watch this show Seinfeld?
Yeah,
right?
I'm not aware. I know there was a bike. I don't know.
Where he was like that bicycle. He was like, I don't know, for some reason he had to come up to me and like tell me about it. He's like, that bicycle was so ahead of its time. He's like you have no idea. He's like, Seinfeld must have been just like this great cyclist, but like he never talks about it.
No, like okay. So one thing about his apartment, I will bring up this. He had like some dope shit in his apartment.
Right.
He had like this super limited edition Macintosh for a while.
Oh, yeah, the computer,
like the 20th year episode, 20th anniversary version of the Mac, which was super ahead of its time. Like it had like an LCD screen, which was unheard of then.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything in his apartment, there was always these things stashed where like you're like, oh shit, that's some hardcore stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm sure he had like a crazy bike on his wall.
I was in an argument with a buddy of mine yesterday. I said that he lived in the Greenwich Village,
Upper West Side.
but yes, that's what he said. He lived on the Upper West Side.
Yeah,
I thought he lived in Greenwich Village all these years.
No, it was the Upper West Side.
Okay.
Like anyways, the car thing. So like I realized the only thing that really worked was a minivan.
Right.
And I was like, am I going to be like a single adult male who drives around in a van? And guess what? Yes, I am. But no, I got this van.
What you need to do is like put the because you're like, it's like there is a stigma about guys that drive a van. You should put like some kind of logo for your podcast on the side of the van.
No, the van I found, it's a 2019 Dodge Caravan.
Right.
It's a GT with a like they call it the black top package.
You're like, I'm not fucking up my van with any decals.
No,
it's a sweet van.
It's like it's like the wheels are all black. There's no chrome, and the thing has 300 horsepower, which I was not aware of when I picked the van.
You are so excited about this.
Dude, I call it Rocket Van.
Yeah. And
the thing can fucking fly. Like, I have trouble sometimes not just peeling out, leaving at a green light. I bought it used from Hertz, because Hertz was going bankrupt. They were unloading all these vans. Got a deal on it. And someone at Dodge Product Planning decided that Hertz needed a bunch of 300 horsepower minivans to rent out to the public. So I'm driving around, it's got like the black leather with contrasting red stitching. It's like a sports car van. It's like got like a little bit of a taste of like a Dodge Challenger in it. And it's absolutely fantastic. And driving around New York, people here are fucking maniacs. Mm-hmm. Like, we were talking about, like, the people who just zoom around traffic, and then they're in the back.
Like I said, I would not drive down here.
Like,
it fills me with such anxiety. I don't think I could ever drive.
Like, I have seen...
Down here, anyway.
Yeah, I have seen people on a regular basis just drive on sidewalks.
Yeah.
The thing where I tell you where they will come from behind all the cars, drive along the bike lane, and then run the red light. Mm-hmm. We just saw that on our way here. He almost killed us.
Yeah.
I had a guy, I was stopped, and he tried to cut me off and hit my van.
Yeah.
It's got to go in the shop next week to get it fixed. He hit my van when I was stopped, and then tried to fight me.
Yeah. I don't know if you heard when we had the walk signal. We were walking, and I went, "I'm walking here," mm-hmm. and the guy called me the N. Did you hear him call me the N-word?
Yes, he did say that.
That always seems to happen. If I do that, I don't know. For some reason, like, I don't know. Everything about New York I relate to movies, and it's like, I do want to almost get hit by a cab and be like Dustin Hoffman in fucking Midnight Cowboy. What? Like, you know that's what that's from, right? You ever seen that flick?
Like, well, I hear I'm walking here all the time.
Yeah.
Or I'm sleeping here. Yeah. Like, he wakes me up in the subway. I'm sleeping here.
Get out of my house.
Like, when people yelling profanities to you is like doesn't register anymore. Like, people are cursing me out all the time, and I don't care because I like sometimes I say, "Are you cursing me out? There?" Like, it's such a it's like background noise.
But it's like, I think it's like all the, like, when you're in New York City, it's like all the profanity, all the graffiti, all the, like, everything negative about it. It's like, for some reason, it's like, everything positive I have to relate to something I've seen in a movie. Mm-hmm. You know? It's just like the first thing I saw when I walked into Central Park today, I was like, oh, that's where they filmed, that scene in Big Daddy where they were fucking tripping people with the stick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, New York has... Okay, so one thing I also did, we're talking about, are you an avid cyclist? Yes, I am. Pre-COVID, I would also give historical bike tours of New York.
Really?
But ones for real cyclists. Some of them were like 40 miles long.
Yeah.
And so I have a wealth of knowledge of the history of the city. If you want to rent a bike while you're here, right here, I'll take you and show you some shit.
Okay.
But one thing about New York is, you're talking about movies, but it's always been a cultural like centerpin for America,
right?
In ways you can't even imagine.
Yeah. Well, just look at Grand Central Station. For God's sake. It's the most beautiful fucking thing you've ever seen.
But like, and Grand Central is.
But then it's like I have to relate that to the movie. What's it? Dudley Moore. The movie Arthur.
Yeah.
I always think of Arthur when I'm in.
Yeah, everyone like, you know, it's amazing. You know, I still to this day I'll be walking down the street and I'll turn a corner. I'm like, oh, that scene from that movie.
Yeah.
It's right here.
Cat's Deli when Harry met Sally. Huh? You know,
like so much iconic in America, like, and going way back. So you've heard somebody from the country called a hick, right?
Right.
You know, oh, you're a hick. That comes because years and years ago, century ago plus,
right?
The Long Island Railroad, I think, like the express service or split in Hicksville, Long Island.
Right.
So past that was the sticks.
Really?
So you're Hicks. You're from Hicksville. You're coming in from Hicksville. You're a hick.
But that's Long Island?
Yeah.
The wealthiest place in the fucking world?
Because like 150... Because you don't realize the Long Island Railroad was started in the 1830s.
Right.
When Brooklyn, outer Brooklyn, was its own city, and space around Brooklyn was just farmland.
It makes sense, though. It makes sense. You're a hick. It means like you're not of the city.
Yeah, but that far in Long Island wasn't suburban. It was very rural. And it was one of the very first places you could get on a train and commute in, was the Long Island Railroad. It's one of the earliest commuter railroads. So that's where the furthest commuters were out, and past that, you're a hick, you're a farmer.
So I got an idea for you. Why not do something that's like comedy bike tours, and you take the people on, like, everything has to do with historically the comedy of New York City. Be like, this was where Lenny Bruce lived, or like fucking like this is where this club used. This is where Dangerfields used to be. Or it's like you could do a lot of that now because so many of these clubs are shut down.
Yeah, I mean, shutting down. Like we've lost some clubs. We lost the Creek in the Cave. Well, the Creek in the Cave moved to Austin.
Right.
You know, like I was very involved. Like I did a documentary with the New Yorker. I keep saying like.
And I was going to get to this this documentary.
Yeah.
Is this the documentary you were telling me about before, or is this a different documentary?
No, this is the one.
Okay. So tell me about this documentary.
So, early on in the pandemic, and during the pandemic, I was working selling beer to bars, and as they reopened, it was like we're panicking, figuring out how we're going to keep these bars open with, we were like, first of all, we were doing only drinks to go. Which
is kind of crazy.
Yeah, these bars.
It's like the opposite of what like a bar should be doing.
Yeah, but luckily I'm from New Orleans. We know how to do beer to go. Like I was like, oh, this is my jam. I got this.
I feel like I've seen this before.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I know how to do this. No, like bars were ripping out windows so they could put opening windows to serve beer through.
Right.
A lot of bars in New York, they have these long bars that go way back and enter from the back, so the bartenders have to walk all the way around. So we got them like portable keg systems called jockey boxes. They could bring the kegs up front, serve the beer, all these things. But I knew that there was some documentaries about comedy during COVID on the horizon. So I came with my friend Gerard, who, he did My New Pants, which I played homeless guy in. We've worked on several projects. He did a documentary about me. And I was like, let's do a documentary that looks at both comics and how they're dealing with COVID, and also the venues that we rely upon, how they're doing it, because I was working in both worlds.
Okay. And what's the name of this documentary, by the way?
It doesn't have a name. It's attached to an article in The New Yorker.
Okay.
So if you look up New Yorker comedy documentary.
So you just look up New Yorker comedy documentary, you can find it.
You'll find it.
Obviously, you're the perfect first guest for my New York guests.
Yeah, and so we addressed the show that Rebecca Trent, who I love. She was the owner of Creek and Cave. She moved it to Austin. Hopefully she'll be coming back and reopening a Creek and a Cave here. Mm-hmm. We talked to her. She set up a giant parking lot in Long Island City. This great show with like Michael Che, and it was all socially distanced. They drew giant chalk circles in the parking lot.
Michael Che, who I just saw a headline last night, and he fucking killed those Twitter comments. Ain't got nothing on him, man. I just gotta say, he fucking killed it last night.
But the ways, and then we went and we talked to Ian Vidant, about how he's dealing with comedy and having all of a sudden live entertainment end or become very like a trickle.
Right.
We talked to Chris Italia, the owner of the Stand where we were at earlier.
Okay.
I've been working with the Stand since they opened in various capacities, and they even right before COVID they had a really rough time. David Kimowitz, a good friend of mine, was tragically murdered.
Jeez.
And then COVID happened right after they opened this grand new space on 16th Street. So we got to talk to Chris Italia about how what they're doing to keep going. And it was kind of like an extension of I'd go over there and hang out with Chris, and we just talk about like this shit show, which was trying to keep businesses operating in some capacity in New York City, while making sure people are safe.
Right.
Because New York is getting a lot of.
Do you remember when Seinfeld made that comment that club owners were like he's not being sympathetic?
Yeah.
Would you agree with the club owners, or you think that Seinfeld? I don't know. I guess I can't really remember exactly what he said.
I can't remember what he said either.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed that was only a few months ago, but it was like a year ago. And it seems like it was a completely different decade almost.
Yeah, but something. I think what he was attempting to do was just like put a Band-Aid, on something like fucking. He was trying to put a Band-Aid on like a severed fucking arm. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like. He's like, everything's gonna be all right, but it's like, dude, it's like you're a billionaire. Like, everything's gonna be all right for you.
Yeah, you're a billionaire. You'll go wherever into whatever cottage until a vaccine comes out.
Yeah,
and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But so during the COVID, New York got a lot of stress from other places. They're like, oh, New York is just over shutting down, and people don't realize it's really, really hard to social distance in this city.
Yes.
It's damn near impossible.
Yeah.
In normal times, when you ride the subway, if you get on rush hour, you're touching everybody around you.
Yeah. I've luckily avoided the subway since I've gotten here. And I don't know. I think it is kind of because of the pandemic. I've been trying to avoid the subway.
I mean, the subway isn't nearly as crowded as it was.
Yeah.
But New York businesses faced a lot of challenges during COVID that were reported. Because, let me give you an example. My next upstairs neighbor, 2 of her kids died of COVID.
Oh my God.
How
old?
They were in their 20s.
Oh my God. That's terrible.
Like, I got COVID. I had MISA. I got the inflammation of organs. I had to have my appendix removed and I had a bunch of inflamed organs. I was sick. I was like low-grade sick for a very long time after COVID.
Right.
And
I haven't even heard of that yet. People you gotta have organs taken out because of COVID.
Well, it inflames a bunch of organs, and the appendix is one that was inflamed, and they're like, we're going to go ahead and get that out.
Yeah.
They're like, that's what they do with the appendix. Once it's inflamed, even if it's not necessarily bacterial at that point, they're like, we got to get that out before it does become bacterial.
Right.
But they're like, yeah, your bladder's inflamed. I was having I was getting winded real easily. Like, your lungs are inflamed. Everything was inflamed.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's a side effect.
And you're in a city where you're walking everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, why am I walking? Fucking getting winded.
Yeah, because we were talking about I would ride a bike 40 miles a day and then go do comedy at night.
Yeah.
And then now I can't walk up subway steps without taking a break.
Mm-hmm.
So it really it would tear through buildings. Like, everyone in my building got COVID at the same time.
Right.
I had the front window apartment, much like yours, and I could see the ambulance come to pick up the kids upstairs, one by one.
That's heartbreaking.
And what was happening is, in New York, once you're in the front door of your building, you're kind of like in your house. So people would walk in the front door of their building, take their mask off, be like, I'm in my house, and walk down the hallway to their apartment. Then someone else in the building would walk through that air and catch COVID.
Yeah.
So it would just storm buildings one at a time.
Right.
So it was a real problem. We have different challenges here, which made all of it more difficult. And it was really interesting, how these 2 venues tried to make it through. The Creek and the Cave wasn't successful here because they couldn't do outdoor dining where they were. Mm-hmm. But Rebecca's brand for the Creek and Cave was strong, so she got some investors, went to Austin, and I'm hoping she comes back and does another Creek and Cave here. Yeah. The Stand was able to squeak through. Stand, more fortunately, is on a very quiet, non-residential block where literally nothing else is in the middle of Manhattan. So they were able to go do outside shows. So they would have a comic perform on the sidewalk to a bunch of audience who were like in the middle of the street in these little vestibules they built for dining. And that's what the shows were. That's like Tiny Cupboard opened up then. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough time to get an interview with them, but they're on a roof with an elevated train next to it. I had to stop so many sets because of ambulances and garbage trucks and trains.
Right.
Over and over trains. Like, it's just like now we had to do comedy to the backdrop of the city, not in a room, and you had to relearn things like. In a room, in a focused room, the laughter you get the feedback of the laughter, so you know what you're doing. But
in a way, it's like that's so fucking New York.
It is very New York. But like this is an important component that everyone who did outdoor shows had to learn. When you're in a comedy club where it's isolated, people pay attention to you, and the laughter collects in that room.
Exactly. It's like don't you have like there's certain rooms. It's like, oh, this is like my dream room. The ceiling's low. The fucking it's like the fucking joke bounces off the wall back at the fucking audience. It's
every room is designed for comedy. Mm-hmm. But now you're on the sidewalk, which is designed for the opposite of comedy. Is you're standing on a sidewalk performing to an audience who are sitting in a shack in the street.
You got that bottle opener, by the way?
Let me go grab it quick.
You put it away.
I don't like that.
What a gentleman, this guy. Thank you.
So you're on stage with an audience, and between you and the audience is everyone who needs to walk down that sidewalk. Mm-hmm. And behind the audience is every dump truck, every garbage truck, and in some shows you have also audience on the other side of the street looking at you.
It's almost like the job of comedian and comedy Barker have been combined.
Yeah, much like that. Because you also get people walking on the sidewalk.
All these people not giving a shit.
We'll stop, and sometimes people stop and watch a show for a little bit. I felt like garbage trucks when you have a show going on got 10 times louder.
Yeah.
just like shaking their with their giant prongs in the middle of your set, and you're just sitting there like, I can't do anything. Only thing you can do funny is give like visual responses to how annoyed you are,
Right.
which lasts for exactly 30 seconds before people are like just bored.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have a dark room. You have people sitting outside, like, oh, an airplane, look, a bird, car. There's this thing. That guy's masturbating in public. We have a lot of public masturbators in New York.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, there's all this. You have to compete with every distraction in the city.
Yeah.
And
you do have to compete with how entertaining homeless people are. I mean, come on.
Not entertaining, more distracting, but still everything's there, and so you have to like learn to read the audience differently. You know, maybe they're not going to look at you the whole time like they would before, but that's okay because they're still enjoying themselves. Or you can't hear the laughter as much, but they're laughing. It's just being drowned out by all this other shit.
Right.
It's not focused on you like it normally is. So, and it took a little while, a couple of sets before you get back in your groove.
Right.
And even if you were getting up far less often. Because there's only so many places suitable to do comedy outside.
Right.
People are setting up shows in parks. Stand Up New York did a show on the subway. Groups of comics were getting on together at roofs, backyards.
I like that idea. It's a show on the subway.
Yeah, which is funny. It forced, everyone's, doing a comedy show on a subway has
Did you get any footage of this in the documentary?
I don't think we got any from that particular thing.
Yeah.
We were limited on time. We actually wanted to do a little bit more, but it was just New Yorker was like, we want it now. And I'm like, okay, well, that's it.
They're like, there's a lot of stuff we could do. They're like, we want it now.
Yeah, they're like, we want it now. So that's what happens.
All right. Fair enough.
And but it was a fantastical documentary. And I think, because there's a couple of documentaries about comics who came out, during COVID and, found homes at different publications.
So what is this documentary that was about you, though?
This was one that...
and what is the name of this, and where can you find this?
Look up Brian Theriot documentary. You can just look at my name and it'll pop up. This was a little pet project from Gerard, who did the documentary together.
Okay.
He wanted to chronicle how a comic in New York makes it, just to their life.
Okay.
Some of it was we picked up when I was doing bike tours. So he literally got on a tandem bike, had one person drive while filming me giving a bike tour in New York.
Really?
Doing shows, sometimes shitty shows. Me talking about missed opportunities, some soulful stuff, some stuff that haunts anyone who's done comedy for a while. That missed opportunity, that thing you should have done then you didn't do.
Right.
Just being a person existing, being creative in New York, making ends meet.
I can't wait to check out. I'm gonna check this out.
What's funny is, other than I manage the bar at a hatchet throwing place part time, and besides that, everything
with The Simpsons playing on the
yeah, The Simpsons play 24 hours. My boss Matt is a huge Simpsons fan.
I feel like kindred spirits all around.
It was since Disney Plus came out, The Simpsons have been streaming on the TVs 24 hours.
But does it bother you that the Disney Plus has been fucking with The Simpsons a little bit?
Oh, how so?
I honestly, because they got rid of that Michael Jackson episode, the 86 that episode, which really had nothing to do with Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was like a mental patient.
Yeah,
right?
that was one of my favorite ones.
That was a good episode.
Yeah.
They had the Lisa's birthday song was in it. The 86 that episode, because of the Michael Jackson documentary. And now I just feel like Disney Plus, just because it's owned by Disney, I feel like we're gonna start seeing them taking scenes of Homer strangling Bart and shit out. I just feel like the cancel culture is gonna, and it's that they're changing all the voice actors that do minority characters on The Simpsons.
Have
you seen all this?
Yeah, Disney, I feel like they don't know where that because I know that
They just don't understand comedy.
well, okay, so like there were like you take a look at some of the older Disney movies, like Dumbo.
Right.
There's definitely some heavy-handed racial stereotyping in there with the crows, and they did a thing where initially they were going to put it aside. You can still watch it, but it's in this category of maybe this is here so your kids don't just watch it if you want to explain the context of it, or just not let them. It's up to you.
Right.
But it's here as it is.
Right.
I feel like they should do that with The Simpsons. Like, I mean, it kind of is. Like,
just put a warning.
Yeah.
Just put a warning before. I mean, might as well. Like it's on fucking Disney Plus. Like it's like the Muppet Show has a warning before it, but The Simpsons doesn't.
Like, I mean, because
what is that?
Because my parents were not. They would not censor what I watched.
Yeah.
I mean, unless my mom.
Neither would mine. But a lot of my friends would tell me they weren't allowed to watch The Simpsons. I was like, fucking, it's weird.
Like I had friends. Like my parents were like, fine. My mom didn't really like The Simpsons. She thought it was weird, but she was like, you can watch it. But I'm talking about. So you ever heard of Fritz the Cat?
Yes.
Okay. When I was a kid, my parents had this giant thing of records, and in there was a Fritz the Cat record.
Really?
And I opened it up and started looking at it, and I was like, Mom, it's a cartoon.
Right.
And Mom's like, okay, I'm not going to tell you can't watch this, but we're going to sit and talk about this for a second.
Right.
This is a cartoon for adults. If you haven't watched Fritz the Cat, or
wait, how old were you when you were watching this Robert Crumb film?
Oh, it wasn't a film. It was on a record. It was an album.
Oh.
But it also had like.
Did you ever watch the movie though?
I watched some years ago.
The movie's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, it's all fucked up.
Yeah.
But my mom wouldn't tell me I couldn't listen to the album, and they had an album book with it,
right?
And it was very graphic and very adult. She's like, I'm just gonna explain to you what this is, instead of telling you can't watch it.
Did you know Robert Crumb did the artwork for Janis Joplin's album cover? The one, the Cheap Thrills one?
No, I didn't know that.
That's like the same artist that did Fritz the Cat.
Speaking of weird movies.
We got to digress, though, to... What were you saying about the hatchet throwing plays? What were you getting to with that?
Oh, yeah, that's the only thing that I still do that I did when the documentary came out.
Oh, okay.
Like, even before COVID, I had stopped doing the bike tours before COVID.
Right.
The owner of it was, like, a felon and a psychopath. And I had set up my own brewery tour within it, a brewery bike tour. And I quickly realized that I cannot have my own product within his bike shop because he's just out of his mind. So, all the stuff in the documentary, because part of the documentary is how much your life changes when you're a comic moving around doing jobs. Mm-hmm. And literally everything changed within a year.
Right.
And then COVID happened, so everything's changed again.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting little documentary. I'm really sad that it had gotten... I think New Yorker had agreed to take it on, and then COVID happened, and then they're like, okay, we just want COVID stuff now. Mm-hmm. They were like, the world's changed, it's shifted, so. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely available. I'll send you a link later if you want to post this with.
I'd love to. I'll definitely share your documentary.
And yeah, I'll do that. I'll do. We did also a short film called My New Pants, which has won a bunch of awards where I play a homeless guy.
So tell me a little bit about this documentary. Or that documentary, the short film, where you're the homeless man. Yeah,
basically it is, Gerard wrote this short film.
Right.
And my friend Michael, who we do stuff together, he also worked on the documentary, on the producers on the documentary.
Right.
He's this guy who is, his life is kind of a mess. And he gets these new pants.
Right.
And he's trying to get his girlfriend to notice his new pants, getting people look at my new pants.
Is his girlfriend also homeless?
No, Michael's not homeless.
Oh, okay.
Later in it, it's
you're not the main role in it.
No, okay. I just play a homeless guy who I play a homeless guy who urinates his own pants.
Okay.
In the show, I'll send you a link to it. It's a lot of fun. It's a funny little short film.
Okay.
But we do these little projects together, variously.
That's great. I got a group of guys that I do all my stuff with, so I could totally relate to you on that level.
Yeah, it's good to have that. It's good. And they're kind of all comedy adjacent, which is great. Like sometimes it's good to get away from we're hanging out with comics all the time. Sometimes it gets a little taxing. Yeah. I feel like I'm just okay. I'm gonna go to the real world for a minute.
Mm-hmm. People who are constantly trying bits on each other and stuff,
Just it's such stand-up comedy is such an isolating art form. Where you're in it for yourself, and your only way you make it is to fight for yourself all the time. Yeah. So if you get a group together, all fight, and you're just like, I have to go talk to civilians. Yeah. I need to go find somebody who works at a bank or something and hang out with them for a night.
I really enjoy talking to bartenders.
Like bartenders, somebody who does something else. I can't anymore for a minute. And it's weird how quickly it creeps up. You'll be hanging out for a while. Gone to comedy clubs for, and hang out, and you're just like...
But you obviously really enjoy talking to bartenders, too. Otherwise, you wouldn't have created the podcast.
Yeah, well, I like bartenders. Bartenders are great. Yeah. But we're talking about Fritz the Cat, but another weird movie. So you love The Simpsons.
Yes.
Also Futurama.
Yes. Okay, so we were talking about this before we started recording.
And we're going to get to that in a second. So I'm going to do... So, two things. First of all, I have a theory.
Yes.
First theory. I have two theories. First theory.
I'm going to tell you, I have something to tell you after you tell me about this.
I'm going to blow your mind right now. Are you ready? Get excited.
Yes.
Okay, so, the timeline for the shows is Simpsons, Futurama,
right,
and the middle is Disenchanted.
Oh, no. I've heard this. My buddy from college, Nate, who's got a big beard just like you, told me he already fucking cracked this egg before. When Fry is frozen in the first episode, you see the city gets destroyed by the aliens, and then it's a medieval shit that's created in the middle. Yeah. And that's Disenchantment.
That's Disenchantment.
Yes.
Disenchantment. That's it. Yeah. That's right there.
Yeah.
Also, this isn't really theory. I feel like I've always felt like this. This is something I felt like since the Simpsons movie came out. I feel like the Simpsons movie should have taken place, this should have been created around season 4.
Right.
And it should have been Marge versus the Monorail.
Because, Conan O'Brien wrote that episode.
Yeah.
Great episode.
And I feel like Monorail is the greatest episode. Yeah. I feel like. Also, but I feel like there was so much more they could have done with it.
And it almost had the same kind of destroying the town quality as the Simpsons movie had.
I feel like that was one they could have done 90 minutes of that. I feel like the actual episode was so good it was rushed. Yeah. It was like, okay, we gotta fit all this in here. I feel like they could have just explored so much more. I feel like the Simpsons were right for it in the 4th season.
It's so strange how much Conan O'Brien, though, if you were to actually ask him about the Simpsons, though, he's it's just it's such a past thought to him, it's he's so like any comic, so much more involved in himself than he ever really was in the Simpsons, you know?
Now, so third thing, very hard to find, bizarre movie.
Okay.
Called Forbidden Zone.
Okay.
Danny Elfman is in it.
Okay. And he does the score for The Simpsons.
Yes. Also, what's his name? The guy from the little person from Fantasy Island.
I forget his name, but I know who you're talking about.
He's in it. It's just as weird as a movie can be. Cult classic. Very hard to find. But Forbidden Zone is, in that movie, Danny Elfman plays the devil.
Really?
And the devil Danny Elfman plays is the exact same devil that inspired the devil robot in Futurama. And if you find it, and you see Danny Elfman playing the devil, you'll be like, holy shit! That's the devil of Futurama. Except not robot. It's spot on. The mannerisms, the little song and dance thing. It's exactly the same character.
Okay, you ready to have your mind blown?
Yes.
unless you've already seen this movie, and I think you might have you ever seen the movie Nothing Lasts Forever?
I have not.
Okay, so the premise of this movie is this guy, he wants to be an artist. It's black and white movie. It's his dream to be an artist. He moves to New York City to become an artist.
Mm.
And you find out that it's like you have to go through all this stuff to be an artist. And he basically finds out that homeless people, and you played a homeless person in a film yourself, so you find this even more interesting, that the homeless people control the entire emotional state of New York City.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's like he basically the movie goes from black and white to color when he goes down into this underground world of the homeless people.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting, this movie, and it's so hard to find. You cannot find this movie anywhere. I watched it one time on the internet, and it disappeared forever.
What was it called again? Nothing
Lasts Forever, and it was written by one of the greatest Saturday Night Live writers, Tom Schiller, who wrote. He wrote the sketch where Chris Farley is bugging out about the coffee crystals.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote that sketch. So this guy was like top-notch SNL writer. Tom Schiller wrote this movie. Now, so the homeless people end up putting this artist on a bus trip to the moon. Now, there's an amusement park basically on the moon. So the second episode of Futurama is a parody of Nothing Lasts Forever. They go to the moon to find this amusement park. Now, the ending of the movie is this artist falls in love with one of the women that live on the moon. There's these women that live on the moon, and the woman that he falls in love with is none other than Lauren Tom, who plays Amy on Futurama, and her first appearance was that second episode when they go to the moon.
Wow. I gotta check this out now.
Yeah, but you can't find it anywhere.
You can't,
it's so hard to find.
No, my last DVD from Netflix was Forbidden Zone.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot to return it. And eventually they're just like, fuck it, it's gone forever. And I remember, and I found it in an old computer, and then I lost it again. It's not streaming anywhere.
Yeah. It's the same thing with Nothing Lasts Forever. But here's the thing. I'm pen pals now with Tom Schiller. I looked up Tom Schiller on the internet after I couldn't find the movie again, and I was like, I want to watch this movie again. I love this movie. It's one of... Oh, by the way, Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray are both in Nothing Lasts Forever. Dan Aykroyd plays the boss of the artist when he works in the subway, and Bill Murray plays the tour guide that's on the bus trip to the moon.
I love Bill Murray as the bus guy. That sounds great.
I know, it's a fucking magical movie, bro.
Like, I need to go see this. I need to see this now.
You know, you got the goosebumps you got from watching the fucking Ghostbusters trailer, huh?
By the way, the Ghostbusters trailer,
amazing,
fucking amazing. Getting back to the kind of the Gozer thing,
right?
They just hit the Ecto one with a little sidecar and that's all cool. I love all that stuff.
Bill Murray, just the one line at the end, "We're closed." Come on,
no, that's Dan Aykroyd.
Is that?
Yeah,
I thought it was Bill Murray.
Because he picks he calls the phone.
Well, I could tell that it's in the bookstore that Dan Aykroyd's character owns. Yeah. But I thought it was Bill Murray's voice for sure.
No, I think it was Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
I mean, I might be wrong, but it was Dan Aykroyd.
Okay.
100% Dan Aykroyd.
Okay. I'll take your word on that.
And the red phone is the red phone that was on Janine's desk.
I saw that. Yeah. I saw a meme that showed that.
Yeah. So I'm guessing when shit started happening, they looked at this old commercial because they showed them the YouTube in the commercial, and the phone number's there, so they call the old phone number which back would be a 2-on-2 number.
No, I love the whole premise though, is that the Ghostbusters are like these forgotten guys, and they looked them up on YouTube. It's great. It's a great idea.
I imagine they're gonna address podcast culture, which we all love podcast culture, right? What is it? Conspiracy theories,
right? But it's also I like the idea that it's Jason Reitman is Ivan Reitman's son, who is also a great film director. But it's also it's like son of Ghostbusters. It's not,
he's gonna care. He's gonna care a lot.
Yeah.
And also because one thing about the original Ghostbusters is there was this whole story that, they presented enough for the show, for that movie.
Yeah.
About Ivo Shandor and his cult.
Right.
That was meant to bring about the end of the world.
Right.
They said in these great grand terms. Yeah. Meant to bring about the end of the world. Yeah. But we don't know anything about it. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be really interesting. So if you watch the trailer, they're going, the earlier trailer, I think they had showed it, they're at Shandor Mines.
Right.
Obviously in the new trailer you see one of the dog creatures come out of Walmart. They had the cab driver there getting a cup of coffee, the ghost cab driver from Ghostbusters. Yeah. I think it's the same person. Of course, the little Stay Puft Marshmallow Men. Yeah. Which, you know what? They're going to pander that to me. They're going to be on every shelf in America. And you know what? I will buy 5 of them, put on my dashboard. I'm fine.
You know what?
They have Paul. Also, they have fucking Paul Rudd.
You know what? It bothered me though about when the last Ghostbusters that came out with the females, and it's I enjoyed the movie for what it was.
Uh-huh.
But the thing that bothered me was just the writing of the movie. I was like, I feel like these women are all really funny. I feel like this movie deserves to be better written. It's like the original movies were romantic movies. It's like this movie's filled with fucking fart jokes and fucking nonsense.
We'll call it the aside Ghostbusters. The one that's not within. It was cheesy. It was campy in the way the other movies weren't.
Yeah.
The other movies were like, hey, what if there was a service to bust ghosts?
Yeah.
There was a logical reasoning to those ghosts being there. There was.
Well, did you know the original script of Ghostbusters though? You probably already knew that Belushi was supposed to play Bill Murray's role, but also that the Ghostbusters was supposed to take place in the future, and it was supposed to be like a kind of like a dystopian society where there was many Ghostbuster it was a whole franchise. There's Ghostbusters all across the country.
But I mean, I've read about those and how the one movie would be there's everywhere, but one thing about Ghostbusters, the beautiful thing about Ghostbusters is the Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2, they were New York movies through and through because they treated ghosts like New Yorkers would treat ghosts. Fuck, there's ghosts again. God damn it, I'm late to work. That's how New Yorkers will react to ghosts. If there are ghosts flying around, you're like, fuck.
But are you bothered that it's it's not do you think that the new one's not going to be a New York movie?
No, I mean, it won't be a New York movie. It's not taking place in New York. And I think it works for the story.
Yeah.
I like it. It's paying homage to Ivan Reitman.
Right.
Not Ivan Reitman. No, that was who played Egon, right?
No, that's Harold Ramis.
Harold Ramis, thank you. It pays homage to him. It pays homage to the character.
Right.
And it was. We needed a little.
It's it helps them be fully developed too. It's this guy eventually left the city.
Yeah.
You know?
We all most of us who live here eventually leave the city.
Yeah.
and like it's a much more interesting story than they were Ghostbusters and they continue to be Ghostbusters and now now we're here and now they're handing it off. It's a much more elegant way of handling it, and I love everything they did. I had a couple of fans. I have a couple of friends who were online and I love all this, just so exciting. And they're like, yeah. Like I don't, nope, not participating in that. This is perfect. This is a perfect trailer. And it's a good trailer because when a movie sucks, they don't tell you the story in the trailer. This one, we know what the story. We kind of know what the story's going to be.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be good.
Yeah. But then I don't know. It's like I don't know. A lot of people are like really into the Avengers and everything. It's like I'm the same way about the Ghostbusters. Fucking like that. Like I haven't not gotten goosebumps from a fucking movie trailer in years, and that one doesn't.
Yeah, this was the next Ghostbusters movie we have deserved for 30 years.
Yeah.
The last one, that's just answer the call.
But it's like the last one they did. It's like I don't hate it. I kind of just put it in the same wheelhouse as the cartoon series. It's just like it's like a breakfast cereal movie. It's not like
it's well. First of all, I have a problem because that movie was like, we're both Ghostbusters in New York, and then they filmed it in Boston, which if you live in New York, reeks. It's offensive.
Yeah.
First of all, we're comics. As comics in New York, we're weirdos, and when you cast a movie like Ghostbusters, we're the guys. We're the weirdos.
Yeah.
If you do it and also anytime you fake New York in a movie with some other city, instantly you can tell.
Yeah.
And it hurts the movie every time.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that the New York metropolitan area.
I saw that Ghostbusters movie. I was in New York for the summer, and I saw it in 3D with this girl who had it. I think I still like had all that romanticized feelings of New York, even though it wasn't filmed on location, because I was hooking up with this girl who lived in an apartment who had this amazing view of the Empire State Building from her. Mm-hmm. And it was just, we had watched Ghostbusters fucking 2 on TV the fucking night before in her apartment. It was great.
Have you been to the Firehouse?
I've never been there. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you say you're not doing anything on Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
That's Wednesday. We'll go to the Firehouse.
You want to go?
Yeah.
Right,
it's not even far from here. We could walk there.
Really?
Yeah. It's super close.
All right. Fuck it. We're doing that Wednesday. Let's get off.